Mangwanani Malelepo Vukenjani Kleklas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show, bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You're joined by Ashwin Bedi and Glenn Orashipura. How are you, Glenn?
I'm doing very well. Ashwin, when are you taking me to Zim?
To Zim?
Yeah.
I mean, you can tag along.
I can tag along?
I'll be heading there, early next year.
I don't know if the viewers know, but my name comes from Zimbabwe. So
yes, it does.
I really need to make a trip
It
there.
is essential.
Yes.
You should. My surname is Herrero, so
exactly.
Look at that. I'm already in Namibia.
Yes. You're meant to be my brother from another
There we go.
Getting into the news today. Al-Qaeda releases SA hostage Gerco van Deventer after 6 years. Kenya rejects demand to arrest Congolese politicians, and DRC elections body optimistic about free and fair polls with 100,000 candidates on the ballot. We'll also be talking to Mike Sichula, who will be filling us in on the latest news in Zambia. Do stay tuned for these stories and more on Africa Good Morning.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Let's get into our top stories. Non-profit organization Gift of the Givers on Sunday announced the release of South African Gerco van Deventer, who was taken hostage in Libya 6 years ago. After being taken hostage, he was sold to militant group Al-Qaeda. He was sold to the group in Mali in 2018 and finally released unconditionally yesterday, said Gift of the Givers founder and director Imtiaz Suleiman on Sunday. His release comes after 6 years and 1 month, making him the longest held South African hostage in captivity, said Suleiman. News 24 has reached out to officials in the International Relations Department regarding the release. Their comments will be added once received. Gift of the Givers, at the request of Van Deventer's family, became involved in negotiations in 2018 and made contact with Jamaat Nasser al-Islam wal-Muslimin, also a militant group. Now, Suleiman said JNIM had dealt with the release of Stephen McCown, Johan Gustafsson, and Christoph Botma, and had connected many negotiators from various countries on behalf of hostages. Suleiman said the initial request for Van Deventer was $3 million. Over time, he added, this was negotiated down to $500,000.
Swinging over to East Africa, Kenyan President William Ruto says he rejected a demand to arrest a Democratic Republic of Congo's politicians who launched an alliance with rebels in Nairobi on Friday. Corneli Nangaa, the former head of DR Congo's electoral body, on Friday announced in a hotel in the Kenyan capital that he was creating a political military alliance with M23 rebels and other armed groups with the aim of restoring peace. Mr. Nangaa was flanked by M23 later Bertrand Bisimwa. Now, the move sparked an angry response from the Congolese government, who warned Kenya of consequences for hosting him. President Ruto, who spoke to Kenyan journalists in an interview on Sunday, said he refused to heed the request to arrest the DR Congo's politicians, terming it undemocratic. Kenya is a democracy. We cannot arrest anybody who has issued a statement. We do not arrest people for making statements. We arrest criminals, Ruto added.
Very, very interesting, considering what it means for the region. And we're going to move on to Congo, which is affected by the M23 rebels. With 100,000 candidates taking part in the Democratic Republic of Congo elections, all eyes are on the country's electoral body to deliver a credible poll. But there's already been a setback. There won't be voting in 3 territories. Now, in the east, no elections will take place at Kwamouth in the Mai-Ndombe province, where tribal militias are fighting amongst themselves. Last month, Human Rights Watch warned that the instability in parts of North Kivu would leave more than 1 million registered voters voters unable to exercise their rights. With some communities disenfranchised, it's a widely held view that the polls might not pass the credibility test. Now, the best way to judge this process is to compare it to 2018. The improvements are a lot. This is according to President of CENI, Kazadi. For instance, we have allowed long-term observation and insisted that Parliament include this in the laws so that people can observe the process at every stage, he said.
In our next story, a Spanish Navy ship is sailing at full speed towards a Maltese-flagged commercial vessel that may have been hijacked by pirates of Somalia, the European Union's Somali counter-piracy force said on Friday. If confirmed, it will be the first successful hijacking involving Somali pirates since 2017, when a crackdown by international navies stopped a rash of seizures in the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean. UNAFOR Joint Operations Center in Spain said it received an alert on Thursday about the alleged pirate hijacked vessel Ruyon, which was approximately 500 nautical miles east of Socotra Island of Somalia. In Somalia's breakaway Puntland region, a member of a group that helped organize raids on ships in the past told Reuters he had heard pirates had managed to seize a vessel. 6 of my pirates' friends managed to capture a ship, and they will bring it to the coast of the eastern region of Puntland, Mukhota Muhammad said by phone from the coastal city of Kwandala.
Heading into the inland of Somalia, Somali forces have taken over the security of the presidential palace and federal parliament building in the capital, Mogadishu, from the African Union mission in the country after 16 years. President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud praised the National Army for taking over the security responsibility of the country's leaders, saying that the move showed the recovery of the capacity and power of the country's military, the state-owned Sona News agency reported. The takeover comes as Somali forces begin to assume responsibilities for the country's security as ATMIS troops who have been fighting Al-Shabaab and protecting key government installations since 2007 gradually withdraw. At least 17,000 AU peacekeepers are expected to exit the Horn of Africa nation by the end of next year. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. Zambia received 24 million from France. We'll be saying bonjour to Mike Suchula after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
All right, France has given Zambia 24 million to supplement the national budget. And Mike Sichola is here to tell us that story and more. Budiwanji, Mike, please take it away. Mike seems to be a little stuck. We're going to try to reconnect with him. I'll give you a highlight of the stories you're hoping to cover with Mike before we take a short break. Zambia has recorded an increase in the export of various plants to countries such as China as well as the United Kingdom. The government has released 2.9 million kwacha to mitigate the further spread of cholera, which has claimed 57 lives. And ahead of the 2023 AFCON tournament to be held in Ivory Coast next year, the Chipolopolo boys are going to be camping in Saudi Arabia. I wonder if they get a chance to hang out with Cristiano Ronaldo and get some inspiration. You never know. We'll take a short break. We'll be back just now.
To another exciting episode of Ironggo Talk. Jullie is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis julle moontlik gaan byt.
All right, while we wait for Mike, let's get into our economic news stories. Tens of thousands of foreign executives, engineers, and other key workers have endured a year-long wait for South African visas that business groups say is costing investment and threatening the country's position as a continental hub. Already suffering from lackluster growth and high unemployment, the government has acknowledged that a skill shortage is throttling development, and a huge backlog in visa processing has worsened the problem. Long visa waits are common in much of the world, but South Africa has some of the biggest jams, business groups say. We have various cases of people who have been waiting for more than a year, said Pamina Bora, Secretary General of the Italian South African Chamber of Trade and Industries. Besides the psychological stress caused to families whose lives are put on hold, firms are suspending or scrapping expansion plans in the country, she said. The backlog is staggering. Busiswe Mavuso, head of Business Leadership South Africa, which groups dozens of international companies including BP, Nestle and Unilever, wrote in a newsletter in November.
In our next story, Kenya and the European Union on Monday signed a long negotiated trade agreement to increase the flow of goods between the two markets as Brussels pursues stronger economic ties with Africa. The economic partnership will give Kenya duty-free access to the EU, its biggest export market, while European goods will receive progressive tariff reductions. The agreement is the first broad trade deal between the EU and the African nations since 2016 and follows a spending spree by China on lavish infrastructure projects across the continent.
We're going to head over to the indicators just before we try to talk to Maxi Chula again.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
All right, let's talk to Mike. Mike, let's start with the $24 million from France, and you can get straight into your other stories as well.
Okay. Yes, so thank you very much, Africa. Good morning. Zambia has received 24 million euros as direct budget support from the government of France. Zambia have also signed 2 agreements and 2 joint declarations of intent in areas of critical metals and minerals, water and sanitation, environmental and public finance management. So this announcement was made yesterday at State House when French Secretary of State in charge of development held a meeting with President Hakainde Hichilema at State House. So this is coming, this direct support is coming after the HIPIC agreement. So France has not been supporting Zambia's budget directly, but over the years, this has changed, and it has changed during the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema. Then moving on into my second story, Zambia has recorded an increase in the exportation of various plants and plant products to trading partners, countries such as China and the United Kingdom. So authorities in charge of this program, that is Dr. Kenneth Msiska, he says the increase in exports of plants products such as soya beans and avocado, among others, has been attributed to enhanced sanitary systems that the country has invested in. So it is something that is going to help Zambia to realize its foreign exchange, because if there are more exports, then it is likely that Zambia is going to record an increase. Then into my third story, the number of cholera cases has risen to 2,404 from 270 less within 24 hours. So during this period, Zambia has recorded 57 deaths since the disease broke out in January 2023. Then the government, in order to mitigate this, has released 2.9 million to ensure that there's enough awareness and also the distribution of chlorine, so that people should be drinking safe water, and also invest this money into the distribution of vaccines in areas that have been identified to be hotspots of the cholera outbreak. Then lastly, into my sports story, the Chipolopolo boys are in camp underway, preparing for the AFCON that will be taking place in Ivory Coast. So Zambia is going to camp in Saudi Arabia for the international camp, where they will play some friendly matches. So according to the Football Association of Zambia, the decision to camp the team in Saudi Arabia is that most of other African teams featuring at the AFCON will be camping there, so it will be easier for logistical purposes for the association to arrange friendly matches, then also to connect to the host nation, Ivory Coast. From there, it will be easier. So Coach Avram Grant has already submitted a list of 55. Then from there, he's going to trim the team to 26 players. So it is likely that most of the big guns like Patson Daka, Fashion Sakala, Lamek Banda are going to be one of the players that will have to be considered in the team. Then we're also likely to see a new inclusion of fresh blood into the team.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike, for bringing us those stories from Zambia.
Thank you very much, Africa. Good morning.
Let's now take a look at the weather predictions. Now in our next video, the Mine Workers Union of Namibia launched new benefits for members. The event took place last week at the Swakopmund Multi-Purpose Center. President of the MUN, Ishmael Kasuto, introduced the NEMIT Education Fund, the NEMIT SME Fund, and the NEMIT Legal Plan as the new benefits for the members. Let's take a look.
The trust. Let me get to the business of the day. The late and the great Dr. Ibrahim Yambo used to say that education is the greatest equalizer. And we as the MUN of Namibia subscribe to this often repeated mantra. It is against this background that the MUN through NAMIT, which is our trust, has introduced new products for its beneficiaries as part of our long-term membership empowerment program. This is applicable to paid-up members, former members or the ex-members, their dependents. So today, as the MUN, we are tasked with the privilege of introducing these products to you, the members, and they are as follows. The NAMIT Education Fund. This is an initiative aimed at assisting the dependents of the MUN, paid-up members, and former members to pursue their higher education qualification at the universities, vocational training colleges, and other educational institutions within the country. The MUN will only support eligible individuals with the required registration fees for the first year and subsequent years of their undergraduate program. The individuals must apply each year for funding and will be vetted against the qualifying criteria by our office. The fund will prioritize the support of those dependents who are particularly vulnerable, such as orphans and those who hail from low-income single-parent households and women. As the Members Union of Namibia, we are proud that we can help our staff as well because they will form part of this program. Union members and their descendants will be the first step of their educational journey. We look forward to sharing the impact of this fund with you all in the near future. The process will be administered by the NAMIT administrator, Penehafo Hamakali, and the applications have opened from the 1st of November and its due date is the 15th of January 2024. Comrades, this program will be targeting mostly the youth in our pursuit to empower and equip them for the future. You will note that most of our leadership structures have been occupied by the youth. One of them, which is a youngster, is our General Secretary as well. So we becoming old, and this gap must be filled by our future leaders. Please join us at the Daba after this session to tap in on the source of funding and the need for the MUN branch and units to align for the trust to have a continuous flow of income through dividends derived from our associate companies. Our Assistant General Secretary make a reference to direct benefits.
Well, good day, viewers. On today's Sunset News, brought to you by Sports Rep. I mean, there is so much sports that we can get to talk about, as we all know that Swakopmund was definitely the place to be this weekend, as we had tennis, the whole tennis tournament that took place, and the fittest in the Namib. But with that being said, we move on to more important news, breaking news, that is the Champions League and this group of stage 16 has been drawn. If you can take a look right there, those are the teams that have been drawn for the round of 16. As you can see, the Arsenal will be taking on Porto in the first game. Real Sociedad take on PSG. PSV take on Borussia Dortmund. Copenhagen have a tough game against Manchester City, while Napoli will be hosting Barcelona. Inter Milan have a tough game as they take on Atletico Madrid. Lazio take on Bayern Munich, and RB Leipzig take on Real Madrid. So those are the games that we do have in the Champions League, as we'll be looking forward to the round of 16s that will be starting next year. So there's a lot to look forward there. But in other news update, we have the Nkosi Cup indoor hockey tournament that's taking place in Cape Town, where we all know that Namibia women won their game 2-1 against Ireland women, where Kiana Chekormak scored twice for Namibia, as is at the top of the overall goal scoring chart with 7 strikes in 3 matches. The Namibians, captained by Gillian Hermanes, have one pool match remaining that was against South Africa, that we all saw Namibia coming out strong, utterly dominating performance as they won 5-2 against South Africa. Well, that's the end of the games that we do have for you. With that being said, we've come to the end of the Sport Trap program. It is goodbye.
Thank you for joining us on Africa Good Morning from Glenora Shupura and Ashwin Bedi, Serazo Kanaka.